Is This Enough? With James O'Donoghue and David Hoare.
Good heavens, it's you! Come in and make yourself at home. And welcome to Is This Enough? My name is James O'Donoghue, and with me, as always, is David Hoare. I'm looking forward to dinner, and David is a cheat and a sinner. This is a truly excellent and brilliant game show that is both excellent and brilliant. We've come up with 3 rounds each, and neither of us knows a single flipping thing about what the other one has prepared. And that's right, we're saying flipping in this. There may be effing and even some jeffing, and one of us may say the word fisting. There is all to play for because there is a prize for the winner and a forfeit for the loser. Our guest judge this week, as is so often the case, is of course the wonderful Robert fucking Warble. Hello, boys. Well. It appears that we don't have anything to do tonight. Or do we? As the Chancellor said to the Exchequer. The prizes. My. Last week, David won 47 good episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation. Yay. David, are your boots filled?
Yes, are absolutely brilliant. It was really good.
Oh, is it the ones that are very effects-laden, or the ones that maybe are a little bit on the back seat, a little bit maybe looking into the interiors of the character?
Yeah, there was a bunch of philosophical ones. There was a couple good laser ones, and there was a couple like, oh, we've got a bit of downtime on this starship. Let's play some space lacrosse.
What an unbelievable fucking nerd. Whereas James lost and was given 47 bad episodes of Picard. I didn't realize there were 47 episodes of Picard. But I digress. The winners this week will get a right proper misting. The loser this week will get a right good fisting. Now, I would like to remind you both that when I died, fisting meant a punch in the face. So if that word has taken up any different meanings or connotations, then so be it. That's for you, not for me. Good luck, boys!
Shocking down the walls of Jericho, a word whispered in the wind. And it said, Robert fucking Warble. Robert fucking Warble. Yeah.
He demands his own intro and outro music. David,
Yep.
You may say to yourself, my God, what have I done? But say it quietly as we move on to round 1.
Round 1.
James, I'll get on to round 1 in a second. I thought it'd be funny to have my dog in the shot at the beginning. I put her down and she demanded to be picked up again. So I'm going to try and put her down again.
Yeah. This is the first time that a dog has been put down live on a podcast.
You're watching Putting Down the Dog. With me, Ed Gamble, because I've got a million pockets.
Our next guest is Lad Baby. Unsolicited slipper shot there from David Hoare.
Yeah, it's a business. It's like a mullet. It's like business at the top and bedroom business underneath. Yes, James. Round 1 is called General Norwich.
Oh,
Norwich FC have had a rich history. Founded in 1902 in Norwich. Yes, are a prog rock band from London, formed in 1968 in London. But is this a player of football or a player of prog?
Oh, good.
Are they a Norwich FC player or in the prog rock band Yes, as we play Norwich, or Yes, which is it?
Very good. That's great. Oh, David.
Yeah.
Before we start, can I just ask? Need I remind you?
Keep it light, keep it tight, please don't fuck my wife. Keep it light, keep it tight, please don't fuck my wife.
All great rules to live by. James, have you been to Norwich?
Yes.
Do you like the band Yes?
No.
Oh. This is for 1,902 points a question, as established. Norwich FC established in 1902. I'll tell you a person, and you just have to tell me whether they played for Norwich or for Yes. Number 1, Ian Culverhouse.
In this Culverhouse? Yes.
No.
Norwich.
You can see how this works already. Question number 2, Peter Banks.
No, Rich.
Yes, guitar player.
God.
No. Yes, guitar player.
Oh, fuck. No. Yes.
Yeah. So Billy, number 3, Billy Sherwood.
Yes.
Yes, he played.
Yes.
bass. Yes. So that's 1902 points for you there. Number 4, Robert Snodgrass.
It's Robert fucking Snodgrass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. That's yes.
No, it's Norwich.
Oh, God.
Has ever somebody sounded more like they were in a prog rock band than Robert Snodgrass?
Definitely.
He
Robert
sounded like he
Snodgrass.
joined, like he left Camel to join Genesis and had a brief stint in Pink Floyd when they all were a bit disbanded for a bit.
There's definitely interviews with Robert Snodgrass on BBC 4 late at night.
Yeah.
He's bald and he's got 5 keyboards.
Talking
And
about
he
how
said-
important the Canterbury scene was in 1968 for about
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Oh, we're just getting all these sounds out of Japan, and we didn't know what to do with it.
Please watch Prog Pretender if you haven't. Robert Wyatt literally talking about the Canterbury sound and being like, now we had an organ and you could tape down one of the things, continuous music. That had never happened before. So great. Question number 5, Malky Mackay. Yes or Norwich?
Oh, shit. Right. Malky. Yes. Yes.
No, Rich. Defender. Malcolm Mackay.
There's a kebab place around the corner from me called Yes Kebab House. Yes. And I just want to put that out there.
The Bart, the. Question number 6, Igor Korosev.
That sounds like a warning that Dr. Frankenstein would yell at his help. Igor Corrosive. I'm going to say no.
H-E-V. Igor Korosev.
No.
Yes.
Ah!
Plan.
God.
Number 7, Benoit David.
No.
Yes, lead vocals.
Oh my! What is happening?
And your final one, question number 8, Terry Alcock.
Terry Alcock. Yes. Yes.
No, he's the Norwich forward.
Oh,
he's Alcock and he's all goals.
Fucking hell!
So you only got 1 there, but you are on a very respectable 1,902 points. James, it's over to you for round 2.
Round 2.
David, round 2 is called Whose Face Am I Slapping? David, I've become a real meanie. David, I'm a real meanie. I'm running about the streets of old London town, slapping people in the face and recording the audio to send to Ron Grainer and Delia Derbyshire at the BBC Radiophonic Workshop.
I love the Radiophonic Workshop.
They do not want these recordings because they are horrible. They've said to me that in person. They said,
Now listen here, you mook. We don't want you here, see? You'll turn too many heads, see? Bring the heat, you dig? Now get out of here, kid. Get out of here! Scram!
in no uncertain terms. So, with a warrant for my arrest ongoing and the boys at the Metropolitan Police and Broadcasting House on my tail, David, can you tell me whose face I've been slapping? You'll hear a bit of sound of the slap and a little snippet of dialogue, but not too much. So, these are all worth 38,000 points each.
Ooh!
Whose face was I slapping there?
Was it Ronald Reagan?
It was not Ronald Reagan, David.
Are they alive until you slap them, I guess?
They are
But
no
we
longer
don't condone
alive.
violence, is this enough? They're not alive.
They're no longer alive.
Oh.
You were close with Ronald Reagan.
Oh, Richard Nixon.
It was indeed Tricky Dicky Milhouse Nixon. Everything's coming up Milhouse. There's an awful lot of ejaculate in that president. David, who's this?
Oh, Jimmy Carr.
It's not Jimmy Carr. That would be this.
Yeah, okay. Can I hear it one more time?
Yeah, absolutely. Is that laughter or maybe something else?
Oh, is it tears?
It's tears, David. It's tears. Someone was unhappy with that.
Is it Claudia Winkleman?
It's not Claudia Dinky Winkle Dinkle.
Claudia Dinklage Winkledidge. So one more time?
One more time. One and one more. Oh,
it sounds a bit like Kate Bush at the end of one of her songs.
it's not Kate Bush. David, it is, of course, the great clown Pagliacci. I saw him outside his doctor's. He looked very upset. David, who on earth is this? Cheeky.
I mean, this is a bit of a comedian in joke, but I assume it's Chelsea Birkby. Is that Lembit Opik?
It's Lembit Opik, yes. Well done, former Lib Dem Member of Parliament, Lembit Opik.
He is a former Lib Dem.
Former Lib Dem. Who on earth could this be, though?
Is it John Cage?
No, David, it's Marcel Marceau,
Oh,
a famous mime. Okay. And then finally, what about this? Ach, nein!
Is it Elon Musk?
Now that's topical.
Well, it was when we
Ach,
recorded
nein!
On the 31st of January. Every time somebody says Marcel Marceau, for a second, I think they're talking about Marcel the monkey from Friends, Ross's pet monkey. Is it Werner Herzog?
No.
Oh,
You're long.
Is it Klaus Kinski?
No. Ach, nein! What German person might we have come across recently?
Is it David Plus?
It's David Plus, David!
David Plus, David. Isn't that a kebab shop near your house?
David Plus, David. The Plus is in the pudding. David, at the end of that round, you've got £114,000 where I'm lagging behind with £1,902. Points, David. What do you think I said? Those of you listening, please never tell David that I said pounds instead of points.
He's going to win all the money.
He's got to fuck him right up here. He's going to go in an upsetting way. David, with all of that said, it's over to you for round 3.
Round 3.
David.
Yeah?
I'm looking forward to seeing what round 3 is.
Oh, no technical difficulties here. James. Fuck. James, round 3 is called What Have You Consumed? What media have you consumed recently, James? That you'd like to discuss?
Well, David, while I've been in a little stress ball due to a week's worth of events, I've consumed a fair amount of things. Me and my partner have been binging the Amazon show, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel,
Ooh.
which is interesting. It's nice. It's a very nice kind of show. It's nicely realized. There's some good Jewing about in it. As a Jewish person, there's some really good acting as Jewish people, particularly from Tony Shalhoub, who is not a Jewish person himself.
Right.
Yeah, he does a very good Jewish dad. I think he's a Lebanese in lineage, which has been quite an interesting thing of, there's an interesting kind of there's a debate you could have about well, maybe only Jewish people should play Jewish parts because, but there's also, it's Tony Shalhoub. It's very good. He was also very good in the film 13 Ghosts. Don't know if you've ever seen 13 Ghosts. It's not a good
No.
film.
Okay. But is he good in it?
No, well, he's as good as you can be in a piece of shit film like that. Matthew Lillard is in it, who's having a great time. I fucking love me some Matthew Lillard doing whatever.
When he appeared in Twin Peaks: The Return, I was like, oh, it's that guy. And then I had to really go that's Shaggy Doo.
That's Shaggy Doo. He's so good. He's so good. He's really good
the
in
guy from Scream.
Yeah, when he's very young, and he does a really good job at what a goofball into. Oh, this guy could conceivably be horrid.
Yeah,
no spoilers.
Real movie buff into spoilers.
Yeah, he's very young.
We know all of our audience are going to watch.
He's very young in Scream as well, which is which is really an amazing performance from anyone of any age, but he's quite young and he's doing some sterling work. Anyway, enough of this isn't What Have You Shaloobed or
What have you Lilliarded?
Lilliarded.
I went to Lilliard.
I trained at Lilliard. So yeah, he Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is very good. It's got a very interesting thing though, and the writing is very funny. Until it comes to the comedy, the stand-up, that's a main element of it. It's not very good.
It's so hard to do.
It's so hard to do, and
stand-up.
It's
I know
clearly
comedians that love Seinfeld. We'll just talk about the show to not get into the weeds. But I know comedians who love the show, and really comedians that know their shit, and they were like, the show is really funny, but whenever the stand-up is on, they have to fake laugh through it because it's just so bad. Because you just have to be like, apparently there was a film about who's the guy in Miss Maisel that there's a famous, who's the guy that got
Lenny
arrested
Bruce?
all the time? I think was it Lenny Bruce. They did a film about him, maybe,
or
somebody from that era. Is it King of Comedy or something? Essentially,
King of Comedy is very different. King of Comedy is
them. They did a film about one of the old school comedians, a biopic, and they had some of his actual friends from the time kind of visited the set, and he was acting as them, and they're like, "Hey, you're doing a great job acting as him." And then they were like, "So, am I anything?" He kind of went up to the real person's friends and went, "Am I anything like him?" And they were like, "No, not at all."
Oh yeah, there is a Lenny Bruce biopic with Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah. Dustin Hoffman was basically like, "So, am I anything like Lenny?" And all of Lenny's friends were like, "No." But it's just, I think it's kind of hilarious, but it's just it's really hard to capture that kind of live instantaneous energy into something, because you need to get the laugh. Even just recording live stand-up comedy is quite difficult. It's quite difficult to capture just it on the telly, and then you're trying to capture those kind of catching the audience off guards and all that sort of stuff. And I think yeah, my girlfriend watched it. It's a bit like when I worked in a phone shop when the TV show Phone Shop was out. You gotta watch that, and I was like, too close to home. And
Yeah.
Marvelous Miss Maisel came out when I was really in the like getting into stand up thing, and she's kind of trying to do it, and I was just like,
Mm,
I can't whilst relaxing watch somebody struggle their way into stand up when I'm kind of
yeah. It's also it's an interesting show. There was a film that was kind of similar because she's a woman and it's the 50s, early 60s, and she's in comedy. It's a very like male dominated industry. There's struggles that comes along with that. There was a kind of similar British film that came out around about the same time called Funny Cow with Maxine Peake.
Oh yeah,
and they do a lot better at capturing what comedy was back then, but it's set in the north of England. So
right.
it's set in the north of England, so it's all really racist.
Oh, okay.
But it's like a kind of like it's not a racist film, obviously.
Sure, but they have to document what actually.
They have to. Yeah, it's a pretty unflinching. You like this person, then you see them on stage going, "Well, the thing about this black fella," and you're like, "Oh."
You think, oh no, they're stealing your bits.
I'm thinking, there's my notebook. Now this I gotta write down.
Right at the back of my show. Yeah, I kind of wondered that was my girlfriend was watching it, and all the offstage stuff I kind of really like, and her doing like all the voiceover things, and her kind of navigating the industry. But they obviously have to then get to the point where they show her on stage. And this happens with a lot of things. I've been thinking a lot about. In fact, I'll mention it with what's coming up. One of the shows I've been watching is kind of a sports equivalent of, not in tone or anything, but just in the way it's kind of received, to Whiplash. And everybody who wasn't a musician loved Whiplash, and everyone who was a musician was like, "That's not how that works.
This isn't quite my tempo."
Yeah, or that's not how you get good at like tone or feel. Just having people lob stuff at you. And I think that's kind of probably where I'm at with Miss Maisel in terms of TV show, because I'm like, that's not how, and like, you know, I've got a very overactive brain, as mentioned before, so can't switch it off. So if I'm going to switch off, I need to watch something else, and I can't be like, hey, it's nearly stand-up. But I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah, it's good fun. I'm at the last season now, so it might really shit the bed right at the end.
It's a TV show.
It really could. It really could. But yeah, that's been fun. What else have I been consuming? I've been consuming the Glamour Awards from 2008 when Patrick Stewart and James Corden had a fight on stage.
Where you really want to side with Patrick Stewart when he is making overweight jokes.
Such a prick. He's like,
I could see your belly from over there.
From here I could see your belly. Oh, you could not be more wrong, sir. As friend of the show and friend of my wife, Sam Michael, reminded me of it. And it's just the fact that like Patrick Stewart is of a generation where being fat is the worst thing that you could accuse someone of. Of a particularly generation of actor. Where he's like, I'll just make some fat jokes. It's like every joke is like, what about your belly? And he's always waiting for like people to cry laugh. And it's like,
I want to know what I never saw the build up to what James Corden was doing that made Patrick Stewart do it. And I imagine he did piss off Patrick Stewart legitimately, but it just was so mishandled.
He kind of, I think he had his hands in his pockets or did something that looked like he was bored. Because he might have been. It was a long night. And then Patrick Stewart just was like, listen, when you're presenting an award, please don't have your hands in your pockets like you don't want to be there. But then again, Patrick Stewart has got formed for being a bit of a prick. I saw an interview with him where he coughed into his finger. And I thought, that's weird thing to do. He just went, and I was thinking as I was playing Macbeth. It's really
quite weird. Have you ever seen the video of him where he looks pretty stoned giving the examples of how to do a double take, a triple
Yes.
take, and a quadruple take.
That was his wedding day, I think, with his very young wife.
Yeah.
My. So that's how I'm doing, David. That's what I've been consuming.
You've consumed it well. Well, because you've done so much well consuming, I'm going to give you 69 points. James, it's over to you for round 4.
David, round 4 is called. And can you tell me what you've been consuming, please?
Illegal. I have been consuming a number of things. Number one, I just want to give a quick shout out to Michael Legg and Dan Mersh's Iron Maiden pub quiz, which is a podcast about Iron Maiden, but they didn't want to call it a podcast. And there is actually, they do a pub quiz about Iron Maiden at the end of each episode, but they're just going through all the albums, and it's rekindled my love for Iron Maiden. But they're a bit like with Smirshpod reviewing James Bond, where it's like they love it, but they also know all the reasons why it's awful. It's basically the same sort of thing with that. And it's just, if you like Iron Maiden at all, it's just such a fun listen. And after David Lynch died, of course, we did the Twin Peaks episode recently. I was tired that evening, was thinking about David Lynch, didn't really want to watch anything that had to really concentrate on and actually genuinely want to watch. So I watched Dune. Have you seen Dune?
Speaking of Patrick Stewart,
Yes, this is what
I've not seen David Lynch's Dune.
Oh my god! I legitimately out loud. I was watching it by myself, and out loud, within the same 10 seconds, I would go, "This is amazing," and then we go, "Fucking awful." That's so bad, and it's so like he clearly is David Lynch, and he has all these crazy ideas. The source material is mental, and it's like the only time he did a big Hollywood studio movie. And he pretty much like had such an awful time that he was like, I'm never going to do it again. I'm always going to have control. And that's how he ended up with all the other stuff he did. But it's just mad. And it's like very early 80s effect. There's so many famous people in it. There's Patrick Stewart kind of doing a kind of Picard level, but more violent Picard level. And there's like David Lynch has taken some of the stuff from the book and made it more mad. Whereas, like the
Denis
Villeneuve version is like trying to make it more kind of like, what's the most grounded version? What's the Batman Begins we can do with Dune? Yeah, and there's his use of animals in it. I basically got to a point where I was quite tired, and I was suddenly like, sort of quite sleepy, but still watching it. And suddenly they're like leaving their home planet for something because of terrible things. And Carl McLaughlin's just holding a pug. And you're like...
There's a lot of people just holding pugs and holding small dogs.
Yeah, and it's got all sorts of things to do with that. I was watching it on the Pluto app because that was the only way I had it available to me. And it had adverts in it and amongst it. And in Dune, you literally change scene, planet, time frame. And it's all visually very different. One of the adverts came up and it was a comedian called Joe Griffin, who I've done some gigs with, just suddenly appeared on it. And I was like, where are we now? That's just tired enough to be like, she's not in Dune. So yeah, I've been watching that. I had one of those weird, like, I think when I was trying to get my tax return done and I just wanted something to switch my brain off and didn't want to look at any comedy or anything. I ended up watching a load of stuff about the 2005 Ashes cricket match, which at the time I was quite interested in watching. I haven't watched for a long time, and I watched like loads of highlights from that, and it was great. And I was like, yeah, I have no need to get reinvested in cricket. But that was pretty great. But the main thing I want to discuss is I needed another sleepy bedtime time, my like wind down show. So I decided to rewatch Ted Lasso, which I think is the sporting version of Whiplash, in that everybody who actually likes sport is like, this is not how this goes at all. But for me, it's just quite a nice, gentle show. I don't think it's the greatest thing that ever existed, but there's lots of fun stuff in it, and it's very pleasant, and it's very like encouraging you to do your best. And as a result, it makes it twice as funny. The main thing I've taken away from it is that this show, brand new show, mind, has aged horrifically already. It's There's a whole bit where they talk about how great J.K. Rowling is for making art herself and being rich and famous and successful for doing what she wants to do. And then very soon after that, there's a joke about like how devastating it would be if Beyonce and Jay-Z broke up. And then the recent news, you're like, "Urgh."
Yeah.
And there's a bit where Ted Lasso quotes Drake in a positive way, and you're like, "Ugh." And as all of that, I was like, this is quite ridiculous. And then there's a bit where they have one of the characters is being interviewed on This Morning, and they had the actual Philip Schofield and Hollywood.
Ah!
So I was already like, I wonder how badly this is aged. And then it literally just cuts to Philip Schofield, and I'm like, how is this?
And
in
our
this
next
decade.
Our next guest is Liz Truss, who shall be Prime Minister forevermore.
It's so mad. I'm just waiting for them to like make like a positive P. Diddy joke or something, and I'll be like, why? Like it's just, but you know, I think obviously things age quickly. Suddenly, like, you know, there's a bunch of media from the past like 5 years that talks about being on Twitter. Now nobody's on Twitter unless you're a right wing, whatever. And that's one thing, but this show is very much about kind of being a positive force and trying to do the right thing. And in amongst that, they just have all these things that if they were making it today, they would be specifically making jokes like the other way.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa. So that and just occasionally going, bowling, Shane, is what I've been up to. And that's what I've been consuming.
Well, David, because of all of that, I'm going to give you 68 points.
Oh!
So it's good, but maybe not quite as good as me. Well, David, what an excellent way to slalom into round 5 with our ball.
Round 5.
Fantastic. It's round 5, everybody. Everybody loves round 5. Nice to see you. Round 5. 5 is called Who Said This? Was it Wallace or Grommit? After Christmas TV schedule blessed us with Vengeance Most Foul, Wallace and Grommit have hit the zeitgeist like it's their own brat summer. But are you clever enough to discern whether the audio I'm going to play was said by Wallace or Grommit?
Okay.
Are you a fan of Wallace and Gromit?
I fucking love Wallace and Gromit, man. I fucking love Wallace and Gromit, dude. I rewatched all of the Wallace and Gromit over since Christmas. Yeah, it's.
I've been meaning to. I remember Close Shave coming out and it being like a thing. There's like TV in the UK where, like, when James Bond was released, they show all the James Bond. When a new Wallace and Gromit was coming out, and they kind of did it again now, but they would change all of the idents for the whole of BBC Two to Wallace and Gromit for like the whole of Christmas.
It was like the
director.
The director general themselves is gripping you on the throat, going,
"It's the fuck up, you cunt! We've got fucking Wallace and fucking Gromit. Oh, you what? We're gonna put some clay right in your fucking eyes."
Yeah, it's basically like that energy, but like when you're at like Reading when you're 19, and someone's like, "They're gonna make a fucking thing," and you're like, "Yes, yes, yes!" You strangle me with cheese. So yeah, I remember A Close Shave coming out and it being like a fucking thing. I don't really want to check the dates. I sort of think I might have I remember Close Shave very vividly. I mean, we had them all on VHS somewhere, but I think we had them recorded off the telly. So I think the ident of Wallace and Gromit with like a BBC Two logo Christmas thing played before it was. But
it's such a perfect VHS watch as well.
So good. But yes, so this is for 2.6 million points a question because that was the viewing figures of Vengeance Most Foul over Christmas. Is this Wallace?
How much?
21.6 million. It came
me. Sometimes you hear
like 6th, I think, or no, it came pretty high up, but not as high as a few other things.
But like you hear like viewing figures from the 70s occasionally, and it's like, yeah, it turns out he had 37 million people viewing that night, and it was number 3.
Yeah,
and then you see like these days, it's like, well, actually, Strictly Come Dancing got 1.5 million this week, so it's a good week for telly. But then something like that will be like fuck off. Look at this clay man and his dog.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think it was
be
beaten by Gavin and Stacey, and maybe a bit of Strictly or something this time. But it's like the Christmas ones, but maybe not even Strictly. I can't remember.
it was a good year for scripted content this Christmas.
Yeah. Anyway, talking of scripts, was this said by Wallace or Gromit?
Grommit?
That was Grommit introducing himself.
No. I thought you said you liked what that was Wallace, you numpty.
Oh.
Okay. Is this Wallace or Gromit? Question number 2.
Woof.
That's Wallace. After looking at making a misogynistic comment about a passing woman. Horrid man.
Correct. That is Wallace doing an impression of Gromit. That's 21.6 million points for you there. James, question number 3. Is this Wallace or Gromit?
That penguin's a piece of shit, isn't he?
That is Sean.
That penguin's a piece of shit, isn't he?
That's Wallace.
No, it's Wallace
Ah.
believed in Feathers
Oh,
McCraw
of course.
and Gromit.
Of course.
I thought this was your area of expertise. Also, I don't know that Shaun the Sheep and Feathers McCraw ever crossed paths
No,
yet.
not
In the-
yet. In the Grommit verse.
Yeah, in the Gromit, I was going to say Wallace verse, but Gromit verse works much better. Question number 4. Is this Wallace or Gromit?
Stop shagging the sofa cushions.
That's Wallace to Grommit.
Correct. That's another 21.6 million points to you there. And your final question, is this Wallace or is it Gromit?
I will not stop shagging the sofa cushions. 4.
That's Grommit in return.
No, that's Wallace asserting dominance. So you only got 2 right there, which puts you on a measly 43,201,971 as we slalom over to you for round 6.
Round 6.
Well, David, how absolutely marvellous. Round 6 is not presented by me. It's presented by, he's just had a shave. He's had some tattoo removals. He's very excited to see you. An old friend of the podcast. Let me just usher him in now. Hello, David. It's me, Michael Holmill. A whole lot of love from a whole lot of meals. As you are aware, I am now editor-in-chief of the East Grinstead Theatre Lovers magazine, which has a readership of just one person, but he's 300 foot tall and 6,000 feet wide. You may also know me for my fantastic series of murders committed in broad daylight while no one was brave enough to stop me, mainly because I committed them all in iambic pentameter, and to disturb the meter would be a far worse crime. David, as you know, theatre is a dying art form. It's been dying since the invention of the zoetrope, or since you could just shut your eyes and imagine things happening right in front of your face. Let me demonstrate that for you now. Shut my eyes. I'm in a forest, dark forest. I can see the twinkling lights from the stars. It's been a dry night, but the ground is wet. Wet with blood. Blood! My blood. I'm bleeding from my sternum. I fall to the ground and Well, I'm glad I opened my eyes, for as we know, if you die in a daydream, you die in real life. Well, David, as you know, the art sector is changing as many of us have told to retrain and work in cyber as AI replaces playwrights. So, here are some lines from plays, but can you tell me if this were made by a person or by AI? Now, I should point out something. I know, thank you. I should point out something. Because I spend so much of my life on the run from the law, I don't typically have access to a lot of the modern technology needed for fancy AI. So this will be a little make and do mend. Okay. So, David.
Yeah.
First off, to lose one parent may be regarded as misfortune, or to lose both looks like carelessness. Is that written by a playwright or by AI? This is worth, my, 321 points.
Oh. I think that was written by a playwright.
That was indeed written by Oscar Wilde in The Importance of Being Earnest.
Very important.
Question number 2. You can't be too careful about work. It's the most dangerous habit known to medical science.
Ooh. Is that AI?
No, David.
Ooh.
That is The Iceman Cometh by Eugene O'Neill. I once cometh to an Iceman. Well, at least he was nice when I was done with him. David,
Yeah.
it looks like you're trying to write a Tony Award-winning play. Do you need assistance? Was that written by a playwright or by AI?
That sounds like it was written by a paperclip. AI?
It was indeed AI, David. That was written by Clippy, the little Microsoft helper.
Look, I've got a little Clippy action figure here. I got
official merch.
I got the full set.
Ooh. You'll be
Clippy,
flooding.
Nippy, and Zippy. They got sued by Rainbow. Carry on.
And also Tippy Hotovelli, the Israeli ambassador. David, I'm a cat.
That was written by a playwright.
Yes, do you know what playwright it was?
Was it Andrew Lloyd Webber?
Yes, it was, David. It was from Cats by Andrew Lloyd Webber. And finally,
Yes.
let me just put your points into the system.
Hooray for points.
There we go. £321.
I'm getting money again. Hooray!
Again, listener, as James pointed out earlier, the little freak, tell him that we said points, but he heard pounds, and then we'll drive him mad. Finally, David, it
Yes.
was the best of times, it was the worst of times.
Playwright?
David, it's a novel and a trick question.
Oh!
And because it's a novel, I have released a novel coronavirus into your home. Goodbye, David. Goodbye.
Bye, Michael Holmill. Goodbye.
Oh, what a guy. What a treat there. Michael Holmill from the East Grinstead Theatre Lovers magazine. David, at the end of that round, you've amassed 963 points from that round alone. We're going to slip into the results now. So let's hear a theme for the results. What a beautiful theme. And David, here's another beautiful theme because the results are, of course, presented by Robert fucking Warp.
Shall came down the walls of Jericho. A word whispered in the wind, and it said, Robert fucking Warple. Robert fucking Warple. Yeah.
Hello, boys! My, let me have a look at the scores. What an awful font. David, at the end of that round, the scores are as follows, with £115,031. David Hoare is in second place, whereas James has won with 43,201,971 points. Very good. That means that James has won a right good misting. David, I'm afraid you're getting a right proper good fisting. By which
no.
I mean a punch in the face. Queensbury rules, boys! What a violent fellow. And a dog here as well. Marvellous. So, David, that's the end of this show. If the listener has enjoyed this show, can they find you anywhere?
In the bushes. No. You can find me at David Hoare LOL on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and you can join my Substack mailing list at davidhoare.substack.com. James, where can we find you? Also, Nala says goodbye.
Goodbye, Nala. I said good day, sir. I have been James O'Donoghue. If you can find me, you can find me at Is That James O on Insta, James O Comedy on Blue Sky, and Let the James Begin on TikTok. This that you've been listening to has been Is This Enough? You can find it at Is This Enough Pod on Insta, TikTok, and YouTube. Send us an email, for God's sake, at
With your rounds.
Is This Enough Podcasting at gmail.com. You can indeed send suggestions for rounds. We will read them. We may even do them. And we may do them and call you a pillock. You can also be part of our mailing list on Substack at isthisenoughpod at .substack.com, which is where you can find more about some exciting live shows in the future.
Oh, did somebody say March 4th? What?
Somebody say, save the date. March 4th is when me and David are getting married. To comedy! Hooray! We're finally getting confirmation that we're comedians. So, that's all done. It's been a pleasure. David, was this enough?
Certainly was. Goodbye.
Well, it's goodbye from me, it's goodbye from David Hoare, and it's goodbye from Nala the dog. Good evening. That's it. Put them up. The 1, 2, buckle my shoe. Ooh, my fists.